The Galien Foundation fosters, recognizes, and rewards excellence in scientific innovation to improve the human condition.
André Malraux said once in one of his novels, "Une vie humaine ne vaut rien, mais rien ne vaut une vie humaine." Human life is worth nothing, but nothing is worth a human life. All these men and women are trying to save human lives. Is there anything more noble than that?
Around the globe, the Prix Galien is considered as the equivalent of the Nobel Prize for the industry, mobilizing an unrivaled network of Nobel laureates and top biomedical scientists. The Galien Foundation manages an independent, cross-functional, and geographically diverse program of events and sponsorship to brand the best of the best in new medicines and diagnostics. The Prix Galien is a welcome initiative to stimulate creative research and promote excellence. Barack Obama. The Galien Awards ceremony is considered the equivalent of the Oscars night for the innovators in the labs and awards every year the best pharmaceutical product, the best biotechnology product, the best medical technology. The Roy Vagelos Pro Bono Humanum Award for Global Health Equity is bestowed to an individual, a company, an academic institution, or a non-governmental agency that has helped to improve the human condition through the application of biopharmaceutical science to problems of developing or underserved populations worldwide.
This is the right event, on the right issue, at the right time.
I thank His Excellency, the President, for bringing Prix Galien to Africa, and I look forward to the day when we will celebrate an African winner of the Prix Galien.
I'm particularly grateful to receive this award.
The awards are among the highest honors in science and commerce because they lead to improvement in the human condition.
The Prix Galien Awards recognize the world's brightest minds and most innovative companies. They are a true celebration of the hard work required to produce life-changing interventions.
That is what makes us optimistic about the future.
Congratulations to all of you.
Make a difference. Join the Galien Foundation.
Given the disruptions of the global pandemic, finding new ways to highlight the Galien Foundation's mission and accomplishments have been a tremendous challenge. This wouldn't have been possible without the precious support of our sponsors and supporters, who, despite these challenges, continue to show their unwavering commitment to the mission of the Galien Foundation. Off, we would like to introduce key leaders who give meaning to Galien's work and help make this event possible. We first welcome the chair of the Prix Galien Committee, Sue Desmond-Hellmann, former Chief Executive Officer of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
My name is Sue Desmond-Hellmann, and I'm the chair of the Prix Galien USA Committee. Welcome to the 145th Annual Prix Galien USA Awards, where we celebrate innovation to improve the human condition and recognize the blood, sweat, and tears that this innovation requires. I am so inspired by this year's 67 nominees, which tackle a very diverse range of life-threatening conditions with cutting-edge tools and technologies. We'll be honoring these nominees and announcing our award winners shortly, joined by my fellow committee members and some young medical students who will share what drives them to pursue careers in this field. But first, I'd like Bruno Cohen, chairman of the Galien Foundation, to say a few words about the next projects of the foundation.
Good evening, everyone. I am Bruno Cohen, the chairman of the Galien Foundation. Tonight, there will be only one winner, humankind, and only one loser, disease, thanks to the 2020 Prix Galien USA nominees. All those innovations save millions of lives every year and improve the quality of life of hundreds of millions of patients every day. So our mission at the Galien Foundation has an independent voice, is to advocate, celebrate, and to express our endless gratitude to those unsung heroes who have dedicated their life to improving the human condition. Our annual Galien Week is devoted to them. Today, the Galien Forum enabled high-level exchanges and addressed the most critical issues that the industry faces in order to make our world a better place. The pandemic has changed our daily life. Right now, the whole world is watching the health and life science innovation industry with hopeful anticipation. Everyone has a better understanding of the number of failures to overcome and the persistent, tireless efforts and self-sacrifice that it requires to develop a vaccine or a drug. Since 1970, the Prix Galien has been considered worldwide as the equivalent of the Nobel Prize for the life science industry, thanks to the intellectual rigor of its committee. It is my privilege to introduce to you the Prix Galien USA committee, chaired by an exceptional scientist.
Sue Desmond-Hellmann, former Chief Executive Officer of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Committee Chair. Richard Axel, Nobel Laureate, Co-Director, the Kavli Institute for Brain Science, Columbia University Medical Center. Linda Buck, Nobel Laureate, Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center Professor and Affiliate Professor of Physiology and Biophysics, University of Washington. Susanna Fox, Independent Consultant, Healthcare Innovation Leader and former Chief Technology Officer, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Lori Glimcher, CEO and President, Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Professor of Medicine, Harvard Medical School. Mary Claire King, American Cancer Society Professor of Genome Sciences and Medical Genetics, University of Washington. Robert S. Langer, David H. Koch Institute Professor, MIT. Cato T. Lorenzen, University Professor, University of Connecticut. Stephen J. Lester, Chief Medical Officer, the Mayo Clinic, ASU MedTech Accelerator and Professor of Medicine, the Mayo Clinic College of Medicine and Science. Michael Rosenblatt, Chief Medical Officer, Flagship Pioneering. Bengt Samuelson, Nobel Laureate, former President of Karolinska Institute and former Chairman of the Nobel Foundation. Mark Tessier-Levine, President, Stanford University. Tashi Yamada, Venture Partner, Fraser Healthcare Partners.
At Sue's urging, the Prix Galien International, the Galien Super Bowl, will now be organized solely in Africa. We will also celebrate our Golden Jubilee in Dakar, Senegal, at the end of 2021. In the meantime, the Digital Galien Forum Africa will address the African response to COVID-19 in December. To conclude, tonight we are inaugurating the digital health category. In this new algorithmic world, ethics must remain at the center of all what we do. This is precisely the legacy of our beloved honorary founding president and my spiritual father, Elie Wiesel. The Jerusalem Ethics Forum we created with the precious help of Marianne Wiesel will perpetuate Elie's motto: think higher and feel deeper. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. I am now honored to launch our ceremony with the official conferral of the Roy Vagelos Pro Bono Humanum Award for Global Health Equity. To confer this award, there is no one better than Roy Vagelos himself. Roy was Prix Galien USA Committee Chair for many years. He's retired Chairman and CEO of Merck & Company and Chairman of Regeneron. He was also the very first recipient of the Pro Bono Humanum Award for his historic decision at Merck to donate the drug Mectizan to treat and prevent river blindness. As much as necessary, for as long as necessary. This decision helped transform the mission of today's multinational healthcare enterprise to include a commitment to opportunity and equity for all. Given that, in 2018, we decided to name the award after Roy. Roy, I now turn the microphone over to you.
Thank you, Sue. Now I want to focus on the evening's featured guest, our 2020 recipient of the Pro Bono Human Award for Global Health Equity, my friend and fellow physician, Dr. Bill Foege. I can think of no one more significant and qualified for this award, not only for his 5 decades of service to the global fight against infectious disease, but for the personal and professional touch points he has with nearly half of the 13 previous winners, including myself. Our relationship began when Bill served as director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, from 1977 to 1983, and I was head of Merck Research. Later, in 1987, when Bill was running a then unique multi-sectoral collaboration called the Task Force for Child Survival and Development, simultaneously serving as executive director of the Carter Center, I was Merck's CEO. We decided to collaborate with his team on Merck's Mectizan drug donation program to eliminate onchocerciasis, a parasitic disease that causes blindness, then endemic in many African countries. It was the start of a successful industry NGO partnership that continues to this day. That success is replicated by his leadership of other innovative disease surveillance and eradication campaigns against guinea worm, polio, measles, and above all, smallpox, which up until that time was finally snuffed out for good in 1980, had killed 300 million people in that century alone. While no victory over disease is attributable to one person, when it comes to smallpox, Bill Foege comes close. His work began when he served as a young medical missionary and epidemiologist in West Africa in the 1960s, and continued at the CDC as head of its smallpox eradication program. It was there where he pioneered the surveillance and containment measures that are today recognized as central to the effective management of mass infections with minimal use of scarce resources. His were the collaborative, culturally aware, and field-based strategies that secured what is still considered the single biggest achievement ever in international public health. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Bill was among the earliest to advocate public health as a global issue and to document the interrelationship between health, social policy, and economic development. Back in 1984, he co-chaired what was the first truly multilateral initiative to address these issues in a global context. The Task Force for Child Survival and Development helped launch programs that vastly extended global childhood immunization. It proved to be a groundbreaking exercise in health empowerment for underserved populations worldwide. Its work continues today as the global Task Force for Global Health, supported by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where Bill also has deep, extended roots as a senior medical advisor and subject of the Foundation Fellowship Program for young professionals in diverse fields of public health. Finally, if you think that after his long career, Bill is simply resting on his laurels, think again. Earlier this month, the National Academy of Medicine published an expert report on equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines, co-chaired by Dr. Bill Foege and a former CDC colleague, Dr. Helene Gayle. 18 leaders in health contributed to its consensus recommendations, which I'm sure will serve as a key guidepost on just who gets the vaccine first. Once again, it puts Bill Foege in the forefront of what is good and equitable for public policy in health. On September 23, 2020, just a month ago, he sent a private letter to CDC Director Robert Redfield, urging him to acknowledge in writing that the CDC had responded poorly to COVID-19 and to set a new course for how CDC would lead the United States' response, calling the White House's approach disastrous. Bill, it gives me great pleasure to award you the 2020 Pro Bono Humanum Award for Global Health Equity. Congratulations. Please say a few words.
Thank you very much. I want to express my gratitude for the award and the particular pleasure it gives me to have my name right next to Roy Vagelos, and I'll tell you why. When I was 15 years old, I was in a body cast in a small town that had not yet received television. And so I could not roll over or do anything, but I could read. And I began doing a lot of reading, and one of the areas that intrigued me was the story of Albert Schweitzer, both books about him and books written by him. And I developed an interest in both Africa and medicine because of that. When I went to medical school over 60 years ago, it was a surprise to find very few people who had any interest in global health at all. But I did find one. His name was Ray Ravenholt, and he just in the last month died in his 90s. He said to me, there's no clear path into global health. But if you're really interested in this, go to Atlanta, Georgia, and try to become part of the Epidemic Intelligence Service at CDC. And that is what I did. And it turned out to be such good advice because the history of global health I found very intriguing. You have the chapter on church groups doing medical missions. And in each area of the world, they seem to use a different approach. Denominations used a different approach, but they were very interested in diseases that other people did not want to deal with, such as leprosy. Then there was the whole colonial period, and you can see the difference between what the French and the British and the Portuguese did in different parts of the world. There was the chapter on military research because there was an attempt to keep troops healthy. There was the interest of the Rockefeller Foundation a century ago. And even before the foundation, the Rockefeller family gave money to the London School of Tropical Medicine. But then they also helped start the public health schools in the United States. They worked on trying to develop a vaccine against yellow fever. And it's an inspiring story because they started a lab in Nigeria trying to isolate the virus. And one of their people ended up getting yellow fever and dying, one of the scientists. A second scientist there did the autopsy on him and acquired yellow fever during the autopsy and went on to die. A third one developed yellow fever and died, and still they persisted. And eventually they did isolate a virus. They brought it back to the United States, worked on it at the Rockefeller Foundation, and developed the vaccine that we still use today for yellow fever. And they got a Nobel Prize for it. An exciting history of global health. During the Second World War, of course, there was a lot of work being done on global health. In the United States, a malaria program started to try to protect troops, particularly in the South Pacific. But after the war, there was an increase in the effort. So we had global agencies such as the World Health Organization and UNICEF, UNDP, the World Bank. All of them had some interest and involvement in health at that time. We also had bilateral agencies. In the US, it was the USAID. In Canada, Canadian STIDA, Sweden, Swedish SIDA, and so forth. So we had global agencies, bilateral agencies, and non-government agencies. CARE is one of the best known of the non-government agencies from that time. But universities became interested and they developed their own programs, usually with one country or one hospital, where they could send students and faculty in order to get experience in tropical medicine. 55 years ago, I finally went to Africa to work for the first time, and in a health center, I watched as things improved in global health. One disease, smallpox, totally disappeared. And when you think that it killed 300 million people in the 20th century, you can see what a benefit this was to the world. Measles was killing over 3 million children a year, and then down to 2 million and 1 million, finally down to 100,000. Under 5 mortality continued to decrease. It was a gratifying period of time, a hopeful time, an exciting time, but it was going to get better. 3 things happened in recent decades that have speeded the entire program of global health. One of them is when President and Mrs. Carter developed the Carter Center to work on global health. So now we had the ability of politicians getting involved. And your organization has honored the Carters because of what they did. When I would go to a country representing CDC or WHO or UNICEF, I could undoubtedly get an appointment with the Minister of Health. But when Jimmy Carter would go to a country, he would get an appointment with the head of state. And if he convinced the head of state that they should be interested in guinea worm or onchocerciasis or some other tropical disease, you know the Minister of Health was going to be interested in it. And so it was a whole new level of involvement to see what could happen with politicians interested in global health. The second major change in recent decades was the new push by foundations. Bill and Melinda Gates, and you've honored them also. Bill and Melinda Gates, 20 years ago, started the Gates Foundation, and suddenly people were able to get resources to do research on global health problems or to find programs promoting global health programs. And I've often said when the history of global health is written, we will look back at the year about 2000 as the tipping point because of the Gates family. But the third and the last chapter that I want to mention is when corporations became totally interested and involved in global health. And now they could bring together management abilities, they could bring together logistic capacity, an interest in the entire globe. And why did this happen? Because of one person, Roy Vagelos. And many of you know the story that they were able at Merck to develop a drug taken from the soil from a golf course in Japan and develop a drug to protect dogs against heartworm. In the old days, we had to give a drug every day to protect dogs against heartworm. And suddenly Merck comes out with this drug that was licensed under the name HeartGuard. And with it came a little red heart that you would put on your calendar to know the next time you had to give a dose. But 1 dose a month would protect your dog against heartworm. Really was a miraculous step. But then people at Merck began wondering, could this have human applications? And Bill Campbell went to see Roy Vagelos. Roy was head of research at that time at Merck, and they could tell right from the beginning there's not going to be a big market for this, even if it's successful. But Roy Vagelos agreed to give money, and they sent Mohammed Aziz, originally from the subcontinent, to Africa to see whether this could protect humans. Now, think of all these global connections. Soil sample from Japan, worked on in a lab in the United States, a scientist from the subcontinent going to Africa, and he did a study to see, could this drug protect humans against onchocerciasis blindness, or river blindness it's called. And of course, it was successful. So now Merck has a drug that's relatively inexpensive, but it's even better in humans than in dogs. You only have to give it once a year. An inexpensive drug given once a year to the poorest people in the world is not a great market plan. You can't make a lot of money on that. Roy Vagelos, by this time, was CEO at Merck, and he made the decision, we will give it away free. And he attempted to give it to WHO. He said, we'll give it free if you figure out how to distribute it. It didn't work out. The bureaucracy was too great. So he offered the same thing to USAID, and they just turned him down. Now he's getting desperate. He goes to the Task Force for Child Survival in Atlanta, makes the same offer. We'll give it free if you figure out how to distribute it. We asked, how long will you give it free? And his response was, as much as necessary for as long as necessary for onchocerciasis in humans. What a breakthrough. And now we had a way to deal with a disease that would empty villages in West Africa, because by age 50, many of the adults were already blind. And so with this program, everything changed and the amount of blindness was reduced in West Africa. But we were concerned, how do you get people to take a drug if they don't see the results for 20 years? That is, they don't go blind. And we worried also, what do you do in what we now call phase 4 studies if we find that a drug has adverse effects that you don't pick up in the phase 3 studies? Well, we were very careful in beginning this, and the bottom line was it's one of the safest drugs that's ever been developed. Number two, you don't have to wait 20 years for results, because this drug turned out to be 100% effective in treating roundworms. And people knew when they had been treated for roundworms. And so suddenly the marketing was easy because they would tell their neighbors about this. But the other part that I had not anticipated, even though I had been living in West Africa, was how this disease was the reason for so many people itching all day long. Some of them would wake up in the morning, the first thing they knew, they were itching. Last thing they remembered at night, they were itching. And suddenly, some of them taking this drug for onchocerciasis had their first itch-free day ever. And they tell their neighbors about it. And of course, this is a great marketing strategy. And so we watched as our goal of reaching 6 million people in 6 years was suddenly reached in 4 years, and then kept increasing. And Merck continued to give free drug for thousands of treatments, then millions of treatments. And years ago, I remember when they crossed the 1 billion mark for free treatments with Mectizan. So a remarkable story. Then one man, John Moores, very interested in this, put up money to develop a sculpture of a small boy leading a blind man with a stick, a very common sight in West Africa during the onchocerciasis days. And this sculpture, life-size, was put in the lobby of the Merck headquarters. I was privileged to be there the day that it was inaugurated. And in my remarks, I said, isn't this strange that people coming to Merck for the first time, as they enter the lobby, they will see this sculpture, which is honoring a drug that Merck makes no money on for human use. Isn't that interesting? Well, John Moores went on then to create a second statue, which he put at the Carter Center. Carter Center had been helping in making this a popular program in West Africa. He then put up money to replicate this, and the sculpture is in the lobby of the World Bank. Now, the World Bank often used to say that they were not a health organization, but of course they do a lot of health things. And they raised money to help distribute Mectizan. Merck was giving it free, but distribution costs were a problem. And so because of their program to raise money for distribution, this was put in the lobby of the World Bank in Washington, D.C. And finally, a fourth replica of the sculpture was placed at WHO in Geneva, the place that was originally unable to actually meet the requirements of Merck to distribute the drug. So it's been a remarkable story of corporations now involved. And now there are dozens of corporations involved. And there's even one program that involves both Merck and Glaxo, where Merck hooks up one drug, Mectizan, Glaxo puts up a second one, albendazole, and it's used to treat lymphatic filariasis. So it's a remarkable story and a remarkable chapter when corporations decided to do this. So you can see why I am so pleased with this award and so pleased to have the name Roy Vagelos on it, that it's been a pleasure to work with him over the years. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the awards committee and the entire Galien community dedicated to improving the human condition, we thank Dr. Bill Foege for his inspiration and example. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Joel Marcus, our host tonight and an unwavering supporter since the beginning, in the mission of the Galien Foundation, please welcome John Cunningham, Senior Vice President, Alexandria Real Estate Equities.
Good evening. I'm John Cunningham, Executive Vice President and Regional Market Director for Alexandria in New York City. On behalf of Joel Marcus and everyone at Alexandria, it's my honor to welcome you all to the Galien Awards ceremony. Thank you to the Galien Foundation team and their leader, Bruno Cohen, for their commitment to the industry and perseverance in bringing tonight's program together in these challenging times. To the Prix Galien Award Committee for their tireless work to recognize and honor impactful innovation and the benefits to patients worldwide. To Dr. Roy Vagelos for his continued and steadfast leadership and for inspiring us all to reach for the stars and to do so with grace and integrity. To the Galien Forum co-chairs, Dr. Sue Desmond-Hellman and Dr. Michael Rosenblatt, for their compelling program they created for the Galien Forum that we are always honored to host at the Alexandria Center for Life Sciences in New York City. Congratulations to all of tonight's nominees. Your work is truly essential to the human condition. At the beginning of the 20th century, worldwide life expectancy was less than 40 years of age. Today, the world average stands at 72. The single biggest reason for that is the miraculous leap of our ability to treat and cure disease. We thank each and every nominee for their important work and profound contributions to advancing human health and well-being. Alexandria is at the vanguard and heart of the life science ecosystem, and we are proud to have approximately half of the nominated companies as important tenants in our 43 million square foot portfolio. Our industry has gone from America's most criticized to the world's greatest hope. Last year at this time, the world looked very different. For one, needless to say, the ceremony looked very different. We had come to the Natural History Museum after a day full of fascinating panel discussions, interaction, and collaboration at the Galien Forum. We were gathered happily together to enjoy an evening of celebration, starting with cocktails amongst the dinosaurs in the Theodore Roosevelt Rotunda, and then on to dinner and the ceremony under the 94-foot-long blue whale, which tonight I'm seeking to channel to you via Eddie the tarpon of the genus Megalops behind me. The COVID-19 epidemic that was soon to sweep across the globe, upending all of our daily lives, was not even on our radar screen yet. Alexandria's executive chairman and founder, Joel Marcus, delivered remarks at last year's dinner referencing figures from Gallup polls, underscoring how poorly regarded our industry was in the eyes of Americans, and urged all of us to come together to help people better understand the reality of the immense positive impact the industry has on human health and society at large. Despite those polls, and we all knew the reality then, that in the world today, the search for cures and treatments for incredibly devastating diseases relies on this industry every day. That when diagnosed with an illness, the biopharma industry offers not only hope to people around the world, but extra years of life. Today, the world is looking to the life science industry for a solution to this global crisis and a path forward to a less constrained existence. The nation and the world have seen the life sciences community mobilize in unprecedented ways in just a span of a few months. The urgent industry effort to combat the virus to rapidly find new diagnostics, therapies, and vaccines has been a rallying cry for the industry at large. We have seen many companies and organizations come together in exciting new ways, and hopefully this will usher in a new era of collaboration that is here to stay. The speed and scale for which all of this is being done has been transformational. and has the potential to unleash a huge wave of innovation that will benefit patients. So let us take these lessons learned and apply the same sense of creativity and urgency to a wide array of diseases, because for many patients suffering from cancer, cardiovascular, infectious, metabolic, or neurological disease, the need is profound. The work being done by all of you is mission-driven and life-changing. You are all in the business of saving lives, and we salute you for your work day in and day out. Thank you, congratulations, and best of luck.
You've already made the greatest discovery of your scientific career. It was so immense, so profound, that it could help save every woman, man, and child. You found it a long time ago. Don't you remember? No, you didn't find it in your research or in your experiments. It wasn't inside the genome or amongst the petri dishes. It wasn't the day you put this chemical with that chemical, or in the white papers and the documents. Further back. No, you didn't find it in the classroom. Not from your mentor or your hero. A little further. This was a big day. You don't remember it? It was the day you discovered that you were a scientist.
Next, we invite Marc Tessier-Lavigne, President, Stanford University, to present the Best Pharma Product Award.
Well, thank you for your attention, everyone. I'm Marc Tessier-Lavigne, President of Stanford University and a member of the Prix Galien USA Committee. On behalf of the committee, I have the very great pleasure and the honor to announce the winner of the 2020 Prix Galien USA in the category Best Pharmaceutical Product. The objective of this award is to recognize outstanding innovators and innovations in the pharmaceutical industry. And this year, we had the great pleasure of being able to review a large number of outstanding products and innovations that are doing great good in the world in helping patients with poorly treated diseases. This year's nominees for the Best Pharma Product are
Best Pharmaceutical Product. AbbVie Incorporated. Rinvoq, Janus kinase inhibitor that blocks inflammation of moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis, RA, in patients who don't benefit from existing treatments. Avalon Therapeutics, a subsidiary of Purdue Pharma LP, Adhancia XR, central nervous system stimulant to treat attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, in people age 6 and older. Advanced Accelerator Applications USA, Lutathera, radioactive isotope treatment for cancerous neuroendocrine tumors affecting the pancreas or gastrointestinal tract. Astellas Pharmaceuticals, Zospata, tyrosine kinase inhibitor for adults with relapsed or refractory acute myeloid leukemia, AML, with the tyrosine kinase 3 gene mutation. Bayer Pharmaceuticals, Nubeqa, for patients with non-metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer. Bayer Pharmaceuticals, Vitrakvi, tumor-agnostic treatment based on a common biomarker across different types of cancers and indicated for patients with solid tumors characterized by a neurotrophic receptor kinase, NTRK gene fusion mutation, and whose cancer has metastasized. Eli Lilly and Company, Rayvow, non-preventive serotonin 5-HT receptor agonist class treatment for migraine with or without aurovisual symptoms that can lead to stroke. Eli Lilly and Company, Olumiant, JAK inhibitor for treatment of rheumatoid arthritis in patients who failed to benefit from existing TNF-alpha inhibitor therapies. Roche Genentech, Rozlytrek, first tumor-agnostic treatment with biomarkers to specifically target ROS1-positive metastatic non-small cell lung cancer, NSCLC, as well as other NTRK gene fusion-positive solid tumors. GW Pharmaceuticals, PLC, Epidiolex, reduction of seizures associated with Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, LGS, Dravet syndrome, and tuberous sclerosis complex, TSC, in adults and infant children. Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Erleada, non-steroidal anti-androgen treatment for prostate cancer in conjunction with castration in cases that are non-metastatic and resistant to castration. Johnson & Johnson, Balversa, kinase inhibitor to treat adults with advanced or metastatic urothelial cancers that are susceptible to FGFR2 or FGFR3 mutations or have proven resistant to chemotherapy. Karyopharm Therapeutics, Expovio, treatment of relapsed refractory RR, multiple myeloma, and RR diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. Medicines Development for Global Health and the World Health Organization, WHO. Moxidectin, new treatment for onchocerciasis, river blindness, demonstrating superiority over ivermectin, the current standard of care against this major neglected infectious disease prevalent in developing countries. Merck & Company, Ricarbrio, combination antibacterial for adults with complicated urinary tract infections and complicated intra-abdominal infections. Novartis AG, Piqray, treatment of advanced or metastatic breast cancer with PIK3CA gene mutation. Novartis AG, Adakveo, treatment to lower frequency of recurrent vaso-occlusive crises associated with severe vascular system pain for conditions like sickle cell anemia. Novartis AG, Entresto, reduces hospitalizations and deaths in adults with chronic heart failure through improvement in the heart's ability to pump blood to the body. Pfizer Incorporated, Lorbrena, for patients with anaplastic lymphoma kinase, ALK-positive metastatic non-small cell lung cancer, NSCLC, in cases where previous ALK inhibitors have failed. Population Council Incorporated, Anovera, novel hormonal contraceptive vaginal ring that prevents ovulation and pregnancy over a full year cycle of use. Servier Pharmaceuticals, Asparlis, component therapy of a multi-agent chemotherapy regimen for treatment of acute lymphoblastic leukemia, ALL, in patients 21 years of age or younger. SIGA Technologies Incorporated, TPOXX, first drug with an indication for treatment of smallpox in humans in the event of its use as a bioweapon and public health emergency. TB Alliance, Pretomanid, a nitroimidazole drug, one of a class of novel antibacterials, and approved as a combination with 2 other drugs for use in patients with highly drug-resistant pulmonary tuberculosis, TB. Sobi Incorporated, Gamifant, treatment of adult and pediatric patients with primary hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis, HLH, with refractory, recurrent, or progressive disease or intolerance with conventional LH therapy. Theravance Biopharma Incorporated, Upurli, anticholinergic to treat chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, including emphysema and chronic bronchitis.
Now, before I announce the winner of this year's Pharma Award, I'd like to ask Shannon Choi, a medical student at Stanford University, to briefly share with us what inspired her to embrace a career in medicine or research.
Hi, my name is Shannon Choi, and I'm a fourth year in the MD PhD program at Stanford. I'm doing my PhD in stem cell biology, studying human lung organoids in Calvin Clo's lab. When I think about what inspires me in medicine and science, I try to think back to my most memorable moments at Stanford so far. Yes, of course, it's fun to make new discoveries in the lab, and yes, there is that moment when you know something in the world that no one else does. But really, my favorite part of the process is when I can tell somebody that newest piece of knowledge, when you can share that new discovery with somebody. When I can email my PI with the subject line, "It worked," in all caps. I remember before COVID, of course, rushing to finish my work early on Thursday afternoon so that I can join my lab mates for our weekly happy hour, where we can sit together and commiserate over our many failed experiments of the week. And now in this strange and crazy virtual world where my TA office hours mostly consist of me sitting in front of my computer in an empty Zoom room, staring at a video of myself until that one student that's really enthusiastic about the class logs on, and I'm so excited that someone came that I give her way more information than she asked for or wanted. So what inspires me about science is that it's inherently meant to be shared amongst people, and that's exactly what we are doing here. I'm sure everyone here can think back to the thousands of conversations, big and small, lighthearted and difficult, that got you to where you are. And with that, I just want to thank you so much for having me be a part of this conversation today. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Shannon, for sharing that. And now I have the pleasure of announcing our winner. The winner of the Prix Galien USA Best Pharma Award is TB Alliance with Pritominid.
Oh.
I am speechless. Professor Tessier-Lavigne, guests, all participants in this meeting, thank you so much. On behalf of the TB Alliance, this is such a tremendous honor and recognition. And it's a privilege to accept this prize for Pritominid as the best pharmaceutical agent of 2019. Until recently, a diagnosis of extensively resistant TB was regarded basically as a death sentence in many settings. And during the first outbreak of extensively drug-resistant TB in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa in 2005, 52 of 53 people who contracted the disease died. With the new Pritominid-containing regimen, we now have a 3-drug, 6-month, all-oral treatment that has been shown to cure 90% of the patients treated thus far. In the bigger scheme, we can only make great strides in treating the greatest single infectious disease killer in the world that unfortunately is still TB through very innovative advances. And Pritominid, which is a cornerstone of the new 3-drug regimen for the treatment of the most highly drug-resistant forms of TB, is also the first TB drug to ever be developed and registered by a not-for-profit organization with a true heartfelt commitment to equity and access. This would not have been possible without the strong support and commitment of all our partners, our donors, including the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and above all, the participants in our clinical trials. They are the true heroes of this accomplishment, and we cannot thank them enough for their contribution to ending TB. Thank you all.
Well, I know that there have been some technical difficulties, and some people may have not heard the acceptance speech. We'll be making that available, of course, in the future. But for now, I just want to thank you, and please join me once again in congratulating our top pharma innovator for 2020.
At this time, we invite Professor Cato T. Lorenzen to present the Best MedTech Product Award. Professor Lorenzen is a laureate of the National Medal of Technology and Innovation. We congratulate him on being bestowed the 2020 Herbert W. Nickens Award from the American Association of Medical Colleges for his work in social justice and equity.
Hello. It is an honor for me to be here with you virtually at the 2020 Prix Galien USA. We are in a time of a pandemic on a pandemic. By that I mean COVID-19 and racism in America. In this time, it is my hope that our industry does everything it can to address the two pandemics. Through new science and technology, we have the hope for a vaccine. New PPE technologies, some developed by us at the University of Connecticut, offer safer, more effective protections. But I believe our industry must also address racism with the same vigor and commitment as the pandemic of COVID-19. It starts in my mind with embracing a new pathway for society, one that I term the ideal path, which is inclusion, diversity, equity, anti-racism, and learning. It is only through our becoming a society committed to confronting racism that we will truly, in an ideal way, address this ever-present and pervasive pandemic. Thank you. The finalist nominees for the Best Medical Technology of the 2020 Prix Galien USA.
Best Medical Technology. Abbott Laboratories, MitraClip Transcatheter Mitral Valve Repair System, Mitral Valve Regurgitation. Becton Dickinson and Company, Venovo Venous Stent System, Iliofemoral Venous Occlusive Circulation Disease. Biotronic Incorporated, Papyrus-covered coronary stent, coronary artery perforations. Boston Scientific Corporation, AxioStent and electrocautery enhanced delivery system, transgastro or transduodenal repair of pancreatic pseudocysts and necrosis. Boston Scientific Corporation, HeartLogic Diagnostic for heart failure, cardiovascular. Boston Scientific Corporation, Sentinel Cerebral Protection System, endovascular disease debris repair. Kala Incorporated, Kala Trio personalized therapy for essential hand tremor, neuroscience. Clinical Research Consultants and Human Optics AG, Custom Flex, customized iris prosthesis, ophthalmology. Edwards Life Sciences, Sapien 3 Ultra Transcatheter Heart Valve System, aortic stenosis. Edwards Life Sciences, Inspiris Resilia aortic valve replacement. Endomag Limited, MagTrace and Sentimag magnetic localization system for breast cancer biopsy, oncology. Glaukos Corporation, iStent injectable eye implant, ophthalmology, open angle glaucoma. Impulse Dynamics, cardiac contractility modulation, CCM therapy, congestive heart failure. Medtronic PLC, implantable system for Remodulin and hardware HVAD, pulmonary arterial hypertension. Pear Therapeutics, Reset and Reset-O digital therapeutic, substance use disorder. Pulmonx Corporation, Zephyr endobronchial valve system, emphysema. Sonendo Incorporated, Gentle Wave endodontic cleaning and disinfection system, root canal treatment. Teva Pharmaceuticals, Pro Air Digihaler and smartphone app, pulmonary respiratory disease.
I would like to introduce Lillian Zirahu, an excellent medical student who will provide some comments.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lillian Zirahu. I'm a fourth-year medical student at the Columbia University Vagelos College of Physicians and Surgeons. I have had the chance to pursue a medical degree due to the generous support of Dr. Roy Vagelos, and I'm currently applying for my residency in medicine pediatrics. As an Ethiopian, I went to medical school with an obligation to expand care for my local and global communities who lack access to essential healthcare and medicines. I pursued my undergraduate degree in global health to better understand needs in under-resourced settings in Africa and beyond, and I've gotten the chance to learn from local communities about sustainable development. I've been so inspired in this week's Galien Foundation Week of Innovation, listening to all of the organizations who are committed to global health equity. The future of global health is at the intersection of research, innovation, and clinical practice to expand biotechnology and pharmaceutical access to tackle the biggest health issues in our world today. This is important now more than ever in the midst of a global pandemic. Thank you for your inspiring messages. I appreciate the work that you do, and I hope to carry your insights into my own future career.
Thank you. Thank you for those excellent comments. Now at this time, may I have the envelope, please? In the category of the best medical technology, the winner of the 2020 Prix Galien USA is Abbott, with Abbott's MitraClip transcatheter mitral valve repair system. Congratulations. I'd like to introduce Michael Dale from Abbott, who will provide acceptance comments.
Good evening. My name is Mike Dale. I'm a Senior Vice President of Abbott, and I lead our structural heart business. On behalf of Abbott, I would like to thank the Galien Foundation for this tremendous honor and recognition of our MitraClip therapy for transcatheter repair of the mitral valve. This honor is a true testament to the life-changing impact our minimally invasive clip-based technology has had for people living with mitral regurgitation, which is one of the most common heart conditions worldwide. MitraClip therapy is a first of its kind, truly revolutionary, life-saving treatment solution for people with mitral regurgitation. It is backed now by more than 16 years of clinical evidence with proven safety, survival, and durable outcomes that has profoundly improved the lives of more than 100,000 people in more than 75 countries worldwide. It is my honor to work every day with the many employees, researchers, and clinicians who made MitraClip therapy a reality for patients and who continue to dedicate themselves to finding newer and better solutions for the people we serve together. While we celebrate this tremendous achievement for MitraClip, it is never lost on any of us at Abbott that our work is never done, because for more than 130 years, our mission has been to help people live better lives through better health. To that end, there is always more to do, but it is every Abbott employee's passion and delight to search and to find and to bring forward new solutions, new products for people in need across medical devices, nutritional products, diagnostics, and medicines. From the tiniest newborns to the oldest centenarians, we are committed to helping people live their fullest possible lives. On behalf of Abbott, our employees, and the people we serve together, thank you for this honor and distinction. Good night.
Congratulations, Abbott, for being the best medical technology of the 2020 Prix Galien USA, but also congratulations to all the finalist nominees in the Best Medical Technology category. I'll now bring you to the rest of the show.
We next invite Lori Glimcher, CEO and President, Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Professor of Medicine, Harvard Medical School, to present the Best Biotech Product Award.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lori Glimcher, and a member of the Prix Galien USA Committee, CEO and President of Dana-Farber Cancer Institute at Harvard Medical School. And on the behalf of the Galien Foundation, I'm very excited to announce the winners of the 2020 Prix Galien USA in the biotech category. This year's nominees for the Best Biotech Product are
Best Biotechnology Product, Axia Therapeutics and Ionis Pharmaceuticals, Tegsedi, for treatment of polyneuropathy caused by hereditary transthyretin amyloidosis, HATTR, in adults. Alexion Pharmaceuticals, Ultomiris, for treatment of paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, PNH, that destroys red blood cells in adults. Alnylam Pharmaceuticals, Givlaari, for treatment of acute hepatic porphyria, AHP, linked to production of toxic porphyrin molecules in the bloodstream in adults. Alnylam Pharmaceuticals, Onpattro, for treatment of polyneuropathy caused by HATTR amyloidosis, leading to loss of nerve and organ function. Amgen, Aimovig, CGRP receptor blocker to treat chronic migraine. Amgen, Evenity, treatment for osteoporosis in postmenopausal women at high risk of bone fracture. Amicus Therapeutics, Galafold, oral drug for treatment of Fabry disease through repair of gene-induced enzyme deficiencies that lead to organ failures, stroke, and early death in adults. Biomarin Pharmaceutical, Palynziq, lowers blood levels of phenylalanine, an amino acid that causes PKU, phenylketonuria, leading to brain damage and seizures beginning in infancy. Daiichi Sankyo Pharmaceuticals, Enhertu, treatment of unresectable or metastatic HER2-positive breast cancer. Dompe Pharmaceuticals, Oxervate, recombinant human growth factor to treat neurotrophic keratitis, a rare condition affecting the eye cornea. Eli Lilly, Emgality, once a month CGRP antibody preventive treatment for adult migraine. Roche Genentech, Hemlibra, treatment to reduce or prevent bleeding episodes in adults and children with hemophilia A, with or without factor VIII inhibitors. Roche Genentech, Polivy, antibody drug conjugate for treatment of diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. Global Blood Therapeutics, Oxbryta, prevents inherited propensity for the hemoglobin polymerization that causes sickle cell disease. Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Tremfya, treatment for medium to severe plaque psoriasis in adults. Medicine 360, Liletta, an IUD to prevent pregnancy through timed release of hormone levonorgestrel. Merck & Company, Ervebo, first preventive vaccine against the disease caused by the Zaire Ebola virus in adults. Novartis Gene Therapies, Zolgensma, one-time gene replacement therapy for children under age 2 with spinal muscular atrophy. Novo Nordisk AS, Ribelsis, GLP-1 agonist treatment to control blood sugar in adults with type 2 diabetes. Pfizer Incorporated, Vyndaqel, for cardiomyopathy associated with transthyretin-mediated amyloidosis, ATTR-CM, to reduce cardiovascular mortality and related hospitalizations. Portola Pharmaceuticals, Andexxa, reversal of medicine-specific anticoagulant-based and life-threatening bleeding events. Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, Dupixent, single-dose pre-filled pen technology to treat adults and adolescents with atopic dermatitis, eczema, asthma, and rhinosinusitis with nasal polyposis. Sanofi, Cablivy, nanodrug to treat adult-acquired thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura, ATTP, a rare blood disorder. Takeda Pharmaceuticals, Takhzyro, treatment for hereditary angioedema, HAE, in adults.
Before I have the pleasure of revealing this year's Biotech Award winner, I'd like to ask Anne Morgan Cathcart, who's a medical student at Harvard Medical School, to briefly share what inspired her to pursue a career in medicine or research. Yes. Let me reintroduce Anne Morgan Cathcart, a medical student at Harvard Medical School, who's going to share with us what inspired her to embrace a career in medicine or research. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anne Cathcart, and I'm a final year student in the Harvard MIT MD PhD program. It's an honor and a privilege to be joining you tonight. My dad was a mountaineer. He summited some of the tallest peaks in the world, from Aconcagua to Denali. I have to believe growing up in Texas had something to do with his motivation to climb. Mountains were certainly awesome compared to the flatlands where he was raised. But also, growing up in Texas meant he was around to hear JFK's main speech at Rice Stadium, where he said we choose two things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one which we are willing to accept. one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win. When I left home for college, my dad encouraged me to do something hard. Developing new treatments for the scourge of human cancers certainly seemed nearly impossibly hard. Yet, I soon found the guides who were cutting the steps up the mountain ahead of me were brilliant, passionate, and filled with hope. My dad was diagnosed with an aggressive cancer and passed away before he could see me graduate from medical school. I know he would be so proud of the work I started, in which you all are leading the way every day. As JFK said, I feel deeply that this is work I am unwilling to postpone and determined to win. And I know you feel the same. Thank you for doing hard things, for inspiring students like myself in the service of patients like my dad. It is an honor to follow in your footsteps.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Anne. The history of medicine is the story of patients, but it's also the story of technological and conceptual advances in how we think about disease and how we're able to treat it. And when those advances occur, when suddenly we're able to imagine an approach we never thought about before, it's as though science had opened a new window through which we could view a new part of the world. In other words, nothing makes medicine progress faster than when our sense of what is possible is enlarged. What makes tonight's Biotech Award particularly appropriate is that it highlights 3 recipients who have done exactly that. They've brought us exciting new possibilities for how to treat a terrible disease. And now I have the pleasure of announcing our first winner. The first winner of the Prix Galien USA Best Biotech Award is Axia Therapeutics and Ionis Pharmaceuticals with Tegsedi.
Thank you to the Prix Galien for this incredible honor. I'm truly thrilled to accept this award on behalf of the entire Ionis and Axia team. Tegsedi is the world's first approved RNA-targeting therapeutic, which powerfully reduces the production of TTR protein, the cause of TTR amyloidosis, as a once-weekly subcutaneous injection to treat adults living with polyneuropathy caused by hereditary ATTR amyloidosis. Tegsedi has given hope to so many families who for generations have suffered greatly from this rare disease because of the lack of effective treatment options. We know that hATTR amyloidosis symptoms are overlooked and underdiagnosed far too often, which is why Ionis and Axia not only prioritize treatment, but also support diagnosis of this disease through various means, including genetic testing. Through these efforts and the benefits offered with Tegsedi treatment, we've been able to address the unmet needs of hATTR amyloidosis patients and their families. I'd like to thank everyone at both Ionis and Axia for their hard work and dedication. I'd also like to recognize the patients, the caregivers, and physicians who've been strong advocates for the hereditary ATTR amyloidosis community. On behalf of our whole team, thank you for this award.
Thank you and congratulations. What the winner just described was an approach to reduce transthyretin amyloidosis through silencing the gene. And while turning off the gene that codes for it would seem to be an obvious approach for diseases like this, but what seemed obvious conceptually turned out to be devilishly hard in practice. The discovery over the past decades of ways of silencing gene expression with antisense oligonucleotides, which bind to the transthyretin messenger RNA and cause its degradation. And that's what you've just heard about from the first winner. The second winner used a somewhat different approach to silence the gene, and that is a technology called RNA inhibition. So moving on to our second winner, who used a different silencing strategy, let me open the envelope. And the winner is Alnylam Pharmaceuticals for Onpattro.
Good evening. It's a privilege to accept this award on behalf of Alnylam, and we are grateful to the Galien Foundation for this incredible honor and for recognizing the impact of Onpattro. As I think about the magnitude of this achievement, many people come to mind who have had the privilege to work with for the better part of 2 decades to make RNAi therapeutics a reality. This award is for all of you and the countless individuals who work day and night to bring this treatment and a whole new class of medicines to fruition. From the scientists who discovered RNAi to the pioneers who paved the way in transforming science into medicine, to those who believed the potential of RNAi even when many lost hope. Thank you for your commitment. Most importantly, this award is for the patients living with hereditary ATTR amyloidosis who have polyneuropathy. These are the patients who had the courage to participate in our clinical trials. They, along with their caregivers, doctors, nurses, and advocates, are the real heroes among us. And the approval of Onpattro is a direct result of their determination to share their experiences in an effort to help others like them. We know the toll that hATTR amyloidosis takes on the lives of patients and their families who face this rapidly progressive and life-threatening disease. And it's their spirit and their bravery that motivate our work every day. The approval of Onpattro opened the doors for RNAi to become a powerful new way of treating human disease. And today, we have additional RNAi therapeutics that have reached the market and others that are on their way to the market to treat rare diseases, but also more prevalent conditions as well. The future of RNAi is bright, and we are excited for what lies ahead. As I think back on how far we've come, I'm extremely grateful to everyone on this journey who said a resounding challenge accepted every step of the way to make RNAi therapeutics a reality today. You have continued to set an example of what it takes for scientific breakthroughs to become medical innovations for humankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations. You've heard about 2 approaches to reducing the expression of the transthyretin molecule. Another approach is stabilizing the native fold of the protein rather than reducing its overall expression. And it is that strategy that we turn to as we consider the awarding of the prize to the 3rd recipient. So last but not least, the 3rd winner of the Prix Galien USA Best Biotech Award is Pfizer & Company for Vyndaqel.
Good evening. On behalf of the team at Pfizer, thank you to the Galien Foundation and to the Prix Galien Awards Committee for this very special honor. This award is a reflection of the innovation that led to Vyndaqel and Vyndamax, the first and only medicines that are approved for the treatment of wild type as well as hereditary transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM for short. ATTR-CM is a rare, life-threatening disease that's characterized by the buildup of abnormal deposits of misfolded protein called amyloid in the heart. This buildup causes the heart muscle to stiffen over time, eventually leading to heart failure. Vyndaqel and Vyndamax are the product of targeted drug development designed to simulate the effect of a protective gene variant that stabilizes the transthyretin protein and thus limited further formation and buildup of amyloid. Outcomes for patients with this neglected disease were bleak. Previously, there were no approved treatments for ATTR-CM, and survival was on average 2 to 3.5 years after diagnosis. We saw this significant unmet need that existed for these patients and made the decision to pursue a new therapeutic for these patients, translating the very promising research that was conducted by the Scripps research team at San Diego to the clinic. Our efforts are now having a positive impact for patients with ATTR-CM, with Vyndaqel and Vyndamax, patients whose only prior options included symptom management, and in rare cases, organ transplant, now have a breakthrough therapy that allow patients to live significantly longer, spend less time in a hospital setting, and more importantly, more time with their loved ones. In the pivotal trial, Vyndaqel significantly reduced all-cause mortality and cardiovascular hospitalizations and slowed the decline in patients' functional capacity as well as quality of life. Pfizer has been committed to making a difference for patients with transthyretin amyloidosis for nearly a decade through R&D, education, and awareness efforts, and we look forward to continuing this work to improve outcomes for patients. We're very proud to be recognized for such a respected award, and our ability to bring this innovative treatment to market is a testament to our entire rare disease team at Pfizer, the groundbreaking researchers and investigators who partnered with us, and most importantly, the patients who participated in our clinical trial program. Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations. Perhaps the most exciting thing about this drug is that it has shown utility of the chaperone approach for a host of other diseases such as neurodementias that are caused by protein misfolding and aggregation. So in a very real sense, the companies we've honored today are pioneers, advancing not just the treatment of the specific disease, but the ways we may attack numerous other disorders. Thomas Friedman wrote that big breakthroughs happen when what is suddenly possible meets what is desperately needed. And it's been my honor and pleasure to introduce the winners of the Biotech Award, who have given us new possibilities and have given patients in desperate need a new hope. So please join me once again in congratulating our 3 distinguished biotech winners.
Next, we welcome Bernard Pousseau, Director of Roche Holding, former Chairman and CEO Wyeth, to present our final award, the inaugural Best Digital Health Product Award.
Greetings, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I am Bernard Pousseau, Chair of the Prix Galien USA Digital Health Committee. On behalf of the Galien Foundation, I have the distinct honor tonight of revealing the very first winner of the Prix Galien Best Digital Health Product Award. We are extremely excited to inaugurate this new award category. And who would not be excited about the convergence of healthcare and digital capabilities, better use of existing data, building bridges resulting in augmented knowledge and better informed decision, new ways to heal, broader and easier monitoring of patients, personalized medicine, all of the above and more for better outcomes and more affordable solutions for our patients. This year, particularly, I think we all feel the importance of the untapped potential of digital health in the search for solutions to fight the propagation of SARS-CoV-2 and to help with the identification of what might work against it. The Galien Foundation's objective is to provide increased visibility for digital innovation, and this year's first nominees in particular. I want also to express my gratitude to the awards committee, composed of 8 well-known leaders from the biomedical industry and academia. I want to thank them for their help in identifying the most promising innovations and selecting a winner among an extraordinary list of nominees this year. So let me first introduce my esteemed colleagues of this jury.
Bernard Pousseau, Director of Roche Holding, AG, former Chairman and CEO Wyeth, Committee Chair. Roch D'Oliva, Honorary CEO UCB. Michael Dolston, Global R&D President, Pfizer. Jean-Pierre Garnier, former CEO GSK. Penny Heaton, CEO, Bill and Melinda Gates Medical Research Institute. Franz Humer, former Chairman and CEO, Roche. François Maison-Rouge, Senior Managing Director, Evercore Partners. Elias Zerhouni, former Head of Global R&D, Sanofi.
And now, let's see the nominees who are in the running.
Best Digital Health Product. ADOC with ADOC Medical Limited. Biomodix with Biomodix Avius. Diaboloop with automated insulin delivery, eye controller. Headspace. Oken with Oken Studio. Pear Therapeutics with Somrist. Unify with Unify AI Platform.
And before I have the pleasure of revealing the inaugural winner of the Prix Galien Best Digital Health Product Award, I would like to ask Maria Sirenko, a PhD student at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, to share with us why she embraced a career in the field of digital health. Maria?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Sirenko, and I'm a fifth-year PhD student in the Gerstner Sloan Kettering Cancer Biology program. I chose a career in biomedical science because I'm excited by the power that big data has to help us better understand cancer and to develop new personalized treatments for it. For my thesis research at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, I am leveraging my background in computational oncology to better understand how patients with high-risk leukemia are responding to novel targeted therapies at the single-cell level. Even though these patients were all given the same diagnosis, we found that their disease behavior and response to therapy have each been unique. This highlights exactly why we need the kind of innovations honored here tonight among the digital health nominees. The nominees have developed transformative technologies to diagnose and treat patients, and importantly, to make medicine more personalized and accessible to individual patients. I'm inspired by the limitless potential of digital health technologies to transform the way we practice medicine and ultimately to improve the human condition. I look forward to working on realizing the potential of these technologies throughout my career. Thank you all for your tremendous work advancing the field of digital health.
Thank you, Maria. I think you and I agree on the potential of the digital health. Thank you very much for saying those words. So now, without any further ado, let me open this envelope and reveal the winner of this first Best Digital Health Product. And the winner is Pear Therapeutics. Congratulations.
On behalf of my colleagues at Pear Therapeutics, I'd like to thank the Galien Foundation. It's an honor to accept this award for our prescription digital therapeutic, Somrist. Pioneering something new is hard. What we're doing at Pear, what we're building with prescription digital therapeutics, is something totally new and different. We're revolutionizing the treatment of serious diseases and disorders by inventing an entirely new therapeutic class. The excitement of taking on such a daunting endeavor is what motivates me and our team at Pear every single day. For those of you who aren't familiar, prescription digital therapeutics, or PDTs for short, are a new class of treatments that use software to directly treat disease. Just like traditional medicines, PDTs are prescribed by a physician and backed by clinical data evaluated by FDA. More than 30 million adults in the US suffer from chronic insomnia, which can seriously impact one's quality of life. We're proud to provide patients with Somryst, the only FDA-authorized therapeutic that delivers guideline-recommended, long-term, first-line treatment for chronic insomnia. At Pear, we're focused on ensuring PDTs become a vital part of future treatment models across a range of diseases with unmet medical needs. This award is recognition of how far we've come in the digital therapeutic space. It's also a reminder of how important it is that we continue forward in our efforts to redefine medicine. Once again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Corey. And again, congratulations to you and your team. I think it's a perfect illustration of what digital can do to a situation, a condition, insomnia, where currently the drug offerings has become very scarce and of very limited use. So we welcome your approach, your innovative approach. Thank you so much. Dear friends, to conclude, I just would like to say a few words about the Prix Galien Med Startup Awards that were bestowed earlier on Monday of this week. These awards are presented with the support of Business France, and they recognize the most promising startups in 3 categories: biotechnology, medtech, and those companies specially dedicated to underserved populations. The jury pays particular attention to the value propositions of those companies, but also to the strength of international partnerships between French, Israeli, and North American innovations. For 2020, the laureates were Tree Frog Therapeutics, Wondercraft, and eScopix. Remember these names as they illustrate the bright future of our industry. Congratulations to those winners as well. That concludes my part. Thank you and good night to all.
What an evening. Thank you all for participating in the Galien process and joining us in this unique Prix Galien USA ceremony. I want to thank the Prix Galien USA committee members for sharing their time and unparalleled expertise over the past few months to help us reach today. We also so appreciate our partners and sponsors who share our mission and our commitment to health. Congratulations to the 2020 Prix Galien USA winners and to all the nominees for your tireless commitment to innovation to improve the human condition. The work you do is brave, exciting, and essential. It matters so very much. Now you're all invited to join us in December for the virtual Galien Forum Africa. And we certainly look forward to reconvening in 2021 for the Prix Galien's Golden Jubilee celebration. By engaging in the Galien process, you've all pledged your commitment to innovation for the human condition. On behalf of the Galien Foundation and Prix Galien USA Committee, thank you very much.
Thank you to these leaders for all they do to advance the Galien Foundation's vision of innovation to improve the human condition. And before we conclude, we thank all participants for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again next year. Thank you and good night to everyone.